name is Mallory, otherwise known as JustADoseOfLove, all around the internet. So you can find me on Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, Ravelry, and Twitter under JustADoseOfLove, although I am honestly thinking I might just get rid of my Twitter because I never use it. I am most active on Instagram, and for any new viewers, this is a video podcast about knitting and crafting and just kind of whatever else happens to be going on at the time. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming in to spend time with me again. I've really enjoyed these last 19 podcasts together, and I hope you have too. So, there aren't too many admin housekeeper things to go over, so I'm just going to jump right into what is on my needles. Alright, I'm going to start with my Valentine's Day hat. It wasn't finished in time for Valentine's Day. What had happened was I wanted to have a bit of a surprise pattern for Valentine's Day, and just the way that it was knitting up, I wasn't really a fan of how it looked, so I actually frogged it back to the brim, the end of the brim, just before the body of the hat, and it's ready to get knit up in a different sort of pattern. So I really like the way that the brim turned out. I think I'm just going to change the pattern and kind of build on the things that I like about the brim. So I'm just going to show you what I have here. So this is a 112 stitch hat on worsted weight. This is the Femme Fetale colorway by Amy over at What's Up Yarn Co. And it's on her Stout worsted base, so that's 100% superwash merino nylon. And I had done this up in a twisted rip with the exception of 4 cables that go, pretty evenly spaced around the circumference of the hat here. So here is what it looks like, and yeah, what I really love about this yarn, first of all, it's pink, so I thought it was perfect for Valentine's Day, and her yarn is so squishy, but it bounces back after you squish it. I don't really know what to call that. It's like a scrunchy's not the right word, but it's just, it feels like it has some substance to it, if you know what I mean. It's not super squishy and it just squishes there forever. It still retains some of its shape. Anyways, it's got this beautiful pinks and it's got little splashes of orange and purples in there. And I just really love this yarn. I have one other worsted skein of hers, I believe, and I really want to start doing something with that again. But I just need to get my knitting mojo back. It's been lacking a bit for the last little while, so that's kind of, I've been pretty slow with all my knitting projects. I don't really have a reason, that's just kind of how it's been. Anyways, that was my Valentine's Day hat. When I reknit it, it's not going to have a Valentine's Day theme, so it will no longer be known as the Valentine's Day hat that wasn't. It'll end up being named something new, so I'm really excited to see what it ends up turning into and going from there. Okay, project number 2. My Coziest Memories blanket. It's the Coziest Memory blanket by Kemper, Wray, and I haven't done much on this either, actually. I broke a rule. I'm in the middle of a row. Darn. Back when Melinda and I used to do Whips and Wine, we had a podcast checklist. It included things like battery is charged, mic is plugged in, all projects are at the end of a row. So because we had run into various issues over the course of our podcast together, and it would include things like the battery dying and the mic not being plugged in, so we'd have entire podcast episodes where we had gone through it once and didn't have any sound, we were just talking heads, so we'd have to do it again. So it led to a little bit of a checklist. Anyways, I no longer have a written checklist like that, but apparently maybe I should because I'm in the middle of a row. Anyways, here's my Coziest Memory blanket by Kemper, Wray. This is the only square that I've worked on so far in the last 2 weeks, so there it is. It's actually using up some of the blue yarn that I've used to test knit Melinda's Dragon Rider socks. Sparkly and blue, and I really like it. And it's super soft too. yarn everywhere. Okay, I'm just going to start at this end and show you, for those of you who haven't seen it yet. So I am really consciously trying to go from reds to oranges to yellows. Lost it a little bit there in the middle, but there we get back true to the idea. Green, pink, blues, purples, and that'll be the end of the blanket. And hopefully it'll just kind of shift a little bit over every row until it's done, and we have a, you know, nice little rainbow theme color planned out quilt. I have a little bit of a fear that I'm just going to end up giving up on that idea when I run out of some sort of specific color or don't have enough scraps for it. And it'll be very sad. Because good intentions, right? Oh well. Alright, next project. The Ease Sweater by Alicia Plummer. Last time I showed you this, I had just finished I just finished the decreases on the waist and was starting the shaping of the hips. I'm knitting these up on my interchangeable Knitpicks needles. Let's see, they're the Sunstruck version, brand, line, I'm not sure. They're interchangeable needles. They have some that are colored like this, colored laminated wood. And then the set that I have for my bigger interchangeables, that's the Sunstruck, so it's a nice, like, pale wood there. Not super rainbowy like the other ones. Okay. So, my Ease Sweater. This is using up the Cloudborn wool in the sky blue on the worsted twist weight. It's 100% superwash merino, and originally I'd gotten it for the tea leaf sweater knit along, but unfortunately me and the tea leaf sweater we weren't compatible, so I frogged the work that I had done on it in search of a sweater that hopefully I would absolutely fall in love with, and I think this is the sweater. This is, yeah, I love the way it looks in all the pictures. I'm really loving how it's knitting up, and I'm just going to stop talking and show you what I've done so far. Okay, so this is the top of the sweater. The neck is going to have a cowl neck, so there's going to be, you know, a bit of a thick neck on there, a little bit of a drawstring. And then there's the shaping of the waist, and you can't really tell because of the circular needles that I'm using, but it widens again, increases again at the bottom for the hips. And I am just getting to the ribbing on the bottom, so there's supposed to be 5 inches of ribbing. I may end up, I'll show you a little better. I may end up going 6 inches for the ribbing just because I have a really long torso, and this sweater is supposed to be a little bit longer. And you know, I'll try it on, see how it's looking when I get to the 5-inch mark. And I've done a twisted rib on the bottom instead of just the 1x1 regular rib, just because I really like the way twisted rib looks, so that's how it's going. I have officially switched to the smaller needle size as the pattern calls for, and I've actually knit this sweater not all as one size because my bust and my hip measurements with the waist measurement, it just kind of throws me into 2 different sizes. Sorry, losing my voice, talking too much. So I've done the, let me just grab my pattern here. Oh no, there it is. That's where I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. Okay, so it's written in 4 sizes. There's extra small, small, medium, and large. And I knit up the top portion and the hip portion in the medium size and the waist portion in the smaller size. And the result was a little bit less knitting 1 stitch count for quite as long, so fewer stretches of the same stitch count. Mine has very much been decrease, 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 like 2 rows of normal and then increasing again for the hips, which I was a little worried about, but I did try it on yesterday and I really love it. I really love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to be done. It actually looks like a piece of clothing someday looks like it could be a piece of clothing. I'm just over the moon with excitement on how this is turning up. And it's knitting up so fast. Oh my gosh. It's knit up on 6 mil US 10 needles for most of the pattern that I've done so far. And then it switches to, what? US 6 4 mil for the ribbing and just a couple rows before the ribbing on the bottom. And it's still knitting up pretty quick. I'm really loving how it's going. And it's so fast too. So fast. Alright, so that's all of that. What am I drinking tonight? I found this delicious flavor syrup called Unicorn Dreams at HomeSense, and it was $6, and it has no calories, and it has no sugar. I don't really like to eat sugar. It makes me feel bad. I don't like to drink sugar. I just don't like to ingest sugar. I mean, I love it. I love sugar, but it makes me feel terrible. So I try to stay away from it. So when I came across this delicious purple drink, wow, it's amazing. Just have it, there's a little recipe on the bottle that says you can mix it 1 part vodka to 1 part flavor, and it's absolutely delicious. It also calls for a little squeeze of lime. It's just so good. It's all sweet and soury at the same time. Yeah, tastes like unicorn. Oh, that's good. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. And let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, so we're not at the 20-minute mark yet. However, I forgot to bring in my one finished object, so I'm going to just be right back. Can't believe that, forgetting my one finished object. Like, what the heck? You know what? I was telling Connor about this yesterday, last week, 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure. That was very indecisive. I was telling Connor how I love podcasting, but I hate my setup. Hate it. Mostly because it's just a lot of work and a lot of things that work but not working very well. For example, I go and I haul in a little end table or a side table from the living room and haul it into the bedroom, put it there. And then I take my shawl hanger and I put it in front of that because the lamps that I have for my lighting don't stand up on their own, so they lean against the shawl hanger. And then I go and I grab a stool which holds my camera tripod because it's not tall enough, and then I grab a stool for myself, and I grab another stool from the kitchen, and then I put my laptop on, and then my camera is, it's just a Samsung point and shoot, but it doesn't have any sort of screen where I can see myself, so it's like, okay, sit down. I finally discovered that my phone and my camera can connect, so I can use the remote viewfinder and kind of look at my positioning to make sure everything is, you know, zoomed proportionate. I'm not actually pointing the camera like right here or right here. But prior to that, I would put the camera down, I would put the camera down, hit record, walk over, sit, do some crazy arm motions like this so I kind of knew where I was in frame, get up, hit stop recording, play it back, make small adjustments that way, and it's just like, so much work. So much work. And now it's way better with remote viewfinder, and as I accumulate better things like some better lighting and probably a taller tripod, it's gonna get better. But at this point on some days I'm just like, oh, so much work. I really just don't want to do it. And for those of you who may be wondering why I don't just do it on my phone, it's because my phone doesn't have any expandable memory, so that would make it really difficult to record in the kind of quality that I would like to and then transfer it to something via some sort of wireless, just transfer it to something and be a pain in the butt. That's mostly why. Yeah. I don't even know why I was on that small tangent, but here we are. Anyways. Back to finished objects. Oh, that's where I was. I was making excuses for not having my finished object by telling you how much I do to set up my podcast, which is, oh well. Anyways, finished object. I have a half-finished object. It was my St. Patrick's Day sock pattern. It's called Irish Guild, named courtesy of Steph over at Steph Cole Creations on Instagram. I'm terrible at naming things, and she suggested that, and I thought it was perfect. Anyways, the pattern did release on St. Patrick's Day. Nope, I'm a liar. Released the day after. Released the day after because as I was writing it up, I realized that because I have the cuff set up to kind of work into the pattern, I had to change the cuff pattern for each size. Otherwise it wouldn't quite work out. So I actually wrote up a small size, a medium size, and a large size that you can download as 3 different documents, and then the toe, heel, and toe and heel directions and the materials list and the stitch abbreviations on one main document, which is fine. I'm really glad that I did it that way. I didn't want to compromise how I wanted the cuffs to look, but it also took like 3 times longer than I was expecting it to write up that pattern, so it was late. And I was ready to do it on Sunday, but I wanted to make sure everything made sense because this is a different way than I've ever written something up before. And I think I did pretty good, actually. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. And I'm pretty happy with the 3 different size documents as well, because then you don't have to print out 20 pages to only use 6. Anyways, as a long introduction, here is my Irish Guild sock pattern. Ta-da! I am in love with it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's all these cables. One main cable that runs up the middle, and then kind of loop-de-loop, closed-loop cables on the sides, as well as a small cable that runs down the length of the sock on both sides, and a little cable in the back, which is actually identical as the main cable in the front that runs down the center. And here's what I mean about the cuff. So the front cable and the back cable actually start at the very beginning of the sock, and 2 knit lines turn into this baby cable on the sides. So it's not like a huge thing, but I really liked how it turned out, and I wanted all 3 sizes to kind of have that. Just a nice little bonus, right? There it is. This is honestly my favorite sock to date. I have to admit, after seeing how Kimiko has been writing up her patterns with her Sweet Child of Mine series, she has had some sort of cable on the back of her sock every time, and I was absolutely inspired, and I'm so sorry if you feel like I stole your idea. I thought it was so gorgeous. I wanted to do something similar, and I thought this was the best pattern to do it with. Hope that doesn't come out wrong. I feel like I plagiarized your idea just because I loved it so much. I hope. I'm blushing now. I hope it's okay. Sorry. Yes, so that. But, oh yeah, this is absolutely my favorite pattern to date. It was listed as a free pattern on Ravelry from last Monday to this Sunday. So, I didn't even tell you what day it was today. Today is Sunday, March 23rd? 24th? Oh my gosh, it's 24th already. Today is Sunday, March 24th, and it's approximately 7:33 p.m. Anyways, this pattern is listed as free on Ravelry from the time of publication to tonight at 11:59 p.m. Yes, here it is. And this is knit up in the Cascade Heritage base on the color 5715, which is also known as Avacado, and it is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon makeup materials. That's what it's made of. Yes. There it is. I'll stop showing you now, but I honestly am so in love with how it turned out. And I only finished one because it took way longer than I thought it was going to. So, hopefully soon I will have a pair, and then I can wear both of them, and it'll be great. And this is what I spent most of my my 2 weeks doing, or my week prior to, I guess. This is most of what I spent 2 weeks ago doing. Okay. What else? Upcoming and current items of note. So again, Irish Guild sock pattern release. Talked about that already. The Great Podcaster Craft Together, which is hosted by Jessica of Silver Luna, it's Silver's Dreamland podcast, I believe, on YouTube, and she is Silver Luna 2112 on Ravelry. Oh, it is Silver's Dreamland podcast. I had it written right there. Anyways, that was how I found out about this wonderful craft together that she's hosting. And basically, if you would like to join in on a craft together and you watch a podcast, a knitting podcast, you are eligible to join. The whole idea of this craft together is to finish works in progress this year. So if you're like me and some other knitters I may know, you may have a couple of projects that are hanging out that need to be finished, and this craft together is a great way to do that. If you would like some more information, check out the Great Podcaster Craft Together group on Ravelry. There will be at least somewhere where you can search it in the notes below, and you can find it that way. And that's about it for upcoming and items of note. I have a couple of stash enhancement items, and I have really been in like a pink mood lately. I'm not sure why. I've mentioned it before, and you're probably tired of hearing it, that I was never a fan of pink growing up. It was not my favorite color. Red has always been my favorite color. And recently orange, and apparently purple, and also now pink. So I don't know if I have any favorite colors anymore, just colors that I like less. Anyways, I went to the Fiber Nook earlier this week and found some beautiful pink pale yarn, and I think it's so pretty. It's going to make the softest soft hat. It's on the Rio Space, and the name is Valentina. That's the colorway name. It's 100% superwash merino, and I have the biggest crush on Malabrigo yarn, so here we go. My newest addition to the yarn family. Oh, it's going to be the cutest hat, and it's just so nice and pale, and it's got like a bit of a purple undertone to it. It's still just so soft. Soft color, and I feel. Yeah. Oh, so soft. Okay. And then, true to my normal color preferences, I found this yarn. This is Comfy Cozy Knits Candy Apple colorway, and it's on her woolly worsted base, which is 100% superwash merino, and it's actually 115 gram skein. I'll just take the sleeve off so you can see it. And she's got some really, really pretty oranges that I have bought in the past. I just really love her use of browns and oranges and reds, and it just has this like beautiful, almost a burnt color to it. Flecks of brown, splashes of red, a lot of red-brown variations, and like a hint of orange to the whole thing. I love her yarn. She's actually a Canadian dyer. And she does have stuff over at the Fiber Nook pretty frequently, so that's always nice because I really like the way her stuff knits up. Yeah. So these are my two newest additions to my yarn hoard. Hoard of yarn. Yarn, I don't know. Yarn stash. I guess that's why they call it a stash. It's going to be a small yarn army soon, though, which is not a terrible thing. What else is new? Other stuff. So, since next podcast will be the first quarter of 2019, I think that'll be fun to go through my goals so far this year and see how things are looking. I think it's really important when you have goals, long-term goals, to regularly look and kind of track your progress so you can see how you're doing. Because if you don't look back on them and you don't kind of like measure where you're at, they just tend to fall off the radar. And you look back on it in 6 months and you're like, oh, I forgot about that, or I haven't done anything on that, or, you know, X, Y, Z. And that's how things, for me personally anyways, tend to not get done, is when I don't follow up with them. So that'll be interesting. I will pull my goals list. I have done a little bit of checking in on it to do some math, see where I'm at with certain things. And yeah, we'll see. If anyone was around for the New Year's podcast with all the goals, I actually wanted to take some sort of cooking class this year, so I was looking into courses at Nate, or classes at Nate. And they have two actually that I'm really interested in. There is the Cupcake Fundamentals, which I think would be really cool because I really like baking. Not that I eat most of my baking, but the guys will enjoy it. So there's a Cupcake Fundamentals course, and there's also a beginner sushi course. And I love sushi. Salmon is absolutely my favorite. I love sashimi. It doesn't even have to be in a roll. But I absolutely love sushi, which is funny because growing up I didn't really like fish very much. Fish is fine, but apparently raw fish is just the way to my heart because salmon sashimi is delicious. I don't care what anyone says, it is delicious. So there's a beginner sushi course. And the only thing about this course is that they don't have any dates yet or a price listed, so I'm not sure how confident I am that it's ever going to actually happen. But I will stay tuned because I am interested to know, and I will probably take that course. Yes, so there's that. Let's see, what else? I worked this weekend, so trade show is going on right now. You always have a booth at the Home and Garden Show and the Edmonton Renovation Show, and this weekend is the Edmonton Home and Garden Show. So yesterday I was calling out of the office, calling back people who wanted to be followed up with, and that was good. And then today I was at the actual show, so, you know, talking to people, answering questions, seeing if people wanted to be followed up with, and we had a free draw. And there was this couple who came up to our booth, and the girl, she's like, oh, yeah, I follow you on Instagram, your knitting thing. And I was like, oh, really? Oh. And she's like, yeah, and you follow my cat. And I'm like, Barnaby. There's a cat on Instagram, he lives in Edmonton, and he is the Barnablog on Instagram, and he's so cute, and it was so funny because I had literally been talking to Chris about Barnaby and his Instagram page this morning, and then Barnaby's parents come and say hi, and I was so flattered and blushing, and we were both blushing, and I hope it wasn't too awkward because that was like so cute, and yeah, I'm just super flattered. I never thought someone would recognize me in person in public, and that was just so cute. I hope I wasn't too awkward. Blushing again. And that was just like kind of a highlight of my day, actually. I thought that was absolutely adorable. Yeah. Let's see how we're doing on time. Oh my gosh, that last 20 minutes went by super quick. That is actually it for this 2-week. I do a podcast every 2 weeks, so this bi-weekly podcast, that is about it for this bi-weekly podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I absolutely had a lot of fun. I love chatting with you guys every 2 weeks. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below or email me, Mallory@JustADoseOfLove.com, or send me a message on Instagram. All of that works great. I'm a little slow to reply. I do apologize for that. But I absolutely read everything and I get back to you as soon as I can. And if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a thumbs up. Apparently that's really good for YouTube's algorithm, although I'm not sure I don't know anything about algorithms. It's just what Reddit tells me. Alright guys, I hope you have an absolutely amazing 2 weeks, and I will talk to you for our next bi-weekly podcast, which will be number 20. So that's super exciting. Okay, stay safe, stay warm, stay cozy. I will see you later.